All right. You should be able to see and hear me at this point. Feel free to confirm if it works. And as mentioned, anyone who likes to may join now or later in case there's questions or things to be discussed. I'll wait a bit to be sure the Hangout works. Oh, and now I can hear myself. I'll close this tab. Okay. I guess there's a usual delay there. Right, so welcome to the session, how do you write an Ubuntu app with QML? So basically, yeah, anyone who hasn't written a QML app yet, or anyone who'd like to see the latest API, since I'm going to show off some of the new components, such as the adaptive page layout, which is pretty awesome for making convergence very, very easy. So let's see if the screen sharing will work on the first attempt. Now, hopefully you should be able to see this nice little presentation there with a screenshot of roughly what we're aiming for, which is an 1-to-2 column layout with a list of feeds on the left and some content on the right. And so basically, we're going to use QCreator to start a new project. If you don't have that installed yet, you can find them instructions on the website. And yeah, if I can, I'll see if I can upload the slides later as well. Then you find also the instructions in there. Yeah, so let's just assume you can all see my screen, and I'll show you QCreator as well, and basically the the real thing. So there's the nice welcome page. You can use create new project. Incidentally, this is basically the same if you use file, new file or project. So it's a matter of taste, really, which you use, although I personally quite like the welcome page. And then, yeah, we have some options here. Let's make this a bit bigger. So we're going for a new QMake project. And basically, yeah, let's give it a nice name. Let's call it feedsies. And basically just click some more using some defaults and make a new app there. Right, perfect. So what you would get here is basically an app with a label and a button in there. And you can, for instance, run it. So at this point, I'm actually double checking the run configuration because as it turns out, QCreator doesn't necessarily default to running the app normally. So I'm explicitly selecting that because we don't want to be running test cases yet, although this is definitely important in the long run. And let's see if this is detected. We can use this nice little green button on the bottom left to run stuff. So we're looking at this nice and empty app. Nice, isn't it? And yeah, you can use Control-R as well. It's the same thing, basically. Right, and let's see. What we're going to do, we're going to update the Ubuntu components to 1.3. This is very much the crucial part because that is where the fun starts. That's the latest components. The templates are not updated yet because that's still basically the bleeding edge and really, really new, but it's nevertheless very awesome to use. Right, so we're replacing that, and we're just gonna basically get rid of some stuff here and give ourselves a new page. And then let's see, we're gonna put something else in there. Maybe let's call it articles, and let's give an ID to this page. Call it feeds. And so basically just to confirm that everything still works, you can run it and see there's an articles page there. And you can see that in the title on the top left. I'm just going to double check IRC in case there's any questions. Yeah, you're asking about the slides. So the slides, I will need to see where and how I can upload them. Hopefully I'll be able to add them to developerubuntu.com. But I was still tweaking them earlier today to be sure all the instructions are right. So I haven't uploaded them yet, but I will as soon as I can after the session. So you can find everything I'm doing here in the slides as well. So yeah, at this point, we're actually getting to step 3 in the slides. So basically, we're adding the adaptive page layout. And as I mentioned, that's the new awesome component that gives you one or multiple columns automatically depending on the device you're using. So on the phone, obviously, you just have space for one column, and on a bigger screen, such as a laptop or even some tablets, you will get several columns. Now it turns out I cannot actually copy my own code from the slide, so I guess I'll just have to actually type it, as yeah, everyone probably should who is attempting this to learn it properly. Let's see. Right, so I'm basically wrapping the existing page in the adaptive page layout, giving it an ID, which we'll later need. Let's see, defining the primary page. So that's basically what you see on the left column, or the default view you see on a smaller screen device. That's going to be our feeds page. And yeah, we shouldn't forget about the anchors, because basically anchors fill is just a way of saying use as much space as you have, and we're going to basically leave it to adaptive page layout to make best use of the space. So basically that's what we're doing. And yeah, we can run it again at this point, and yeah, it's not going to look that much different, except you will see it actually has 2 columns already, and we can resize it and see if, yeah, I'm hoping you can see this properly. You should see the line of the header changing, and when I'm making it larger, you should actually see the divider in the middle of the screen, if this is recognizable enough. But it should be more obvious when we're actually adding more stuff. Right, so next step, as a measure of good practice, making a project modular and easy enough to edit in the long run. It's always a good idea to actually make your own components, which is in fact not that hard with QML. So you basically add a new file, a new QML file, and that will have the name of your component in camel case with the extension QML. And then you essentially put stuff in there and make it work as if it's part of the Ubuntu components or Qt API in general. So let's basically try that. We're going to use file, new file or project again. And we're going to select Qt file on the bottom left. Let's try to make this larger again. And we're going to use a QML file, Qt Quick 2. So that's basically the Qt Quick version we're using all of the time. And let's call it article list view, I think was the name I used. Yes. So let's call it list view and next. And basically, again, we're going with pretty much defaults. So yeah, what we're getting here is the most simple form of QML you can have. You have an item in there and then Qt Quick to import. So that's basically going to do nothing at this point. Right. So here we have prepared the source code for a list of news feeds using XML list model. That's a Qt Quick API that's essentially using XML from a URL or from a file, reading it, and according to the way we specified, it's going to make a list of items with the properties we care about. So, for instance, we care about the title of a news feed, the date, which is published in the RSS spec, and content, which is yeah, basically the actual text of the item in the news feed. Yeah, so since I cannot copy from the presentation, I will actually go and take it from the existing code, since that's going to be a bit quicker than typing all of it. Let's give it a second to open everything. So basically, I'm going to copy it and then I'm going to just explain what is actually in there. Yeah, so so the import right there at the top for the XML list model, since that's basically separate module, but that's for the XML list model API. Using the query and the XML role definitions to parse the XML. I'm also defining a delegate here, and admittedly, I'm somewhat yeah, using some of the items I'm going to demonstrate later. So let's just, for the moment, go back to the basics to show what we're doing here. So the very basic thing we need here is a list item that has essentially two labels in there for the title and the date of each item, and a scroll bar that's visible if you have many items and might want to use it on the desktop mainly. And yeah, we're gonna make use of this. in the articles page. So we can see it's already auto-completing that, which is very nice. Again, anchors fill, since we want to fill the whole page. And that might already be enough to make it work. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Yes, indeed, the import I'm mentioning in my slide is exactly what I should also add, otherwise it's not going to work. So yeah, as I'm using the article list view that that I created in my own component file, I'm going to have to actually import the folder of the app, and that's just everything in the same folder in this case. You could essentially also use subfolder like component or UI or QML. That is a matter of style at this point. And a very neat trick I'd like to mention here, if you don't know that, if you haven't used Criteria before, Control A, Control I, and there you see how the code suddenly looks that much nicer. And now let's see if the app works. Right, so I copy pasted correctly, as you can see. And we can essentially see the articles on the left, click, and already see it doing stuff. And I can select some more articles, and you might be able to see the scroll bars here. Right. In this instance, I need to double check something. I may actually have run the complete app already, not the one I'm demonstrating here right now. I fear QCreator may have automatically switched to that. Let's see if we can fix that, because I wanted to actually show the app in progress, not the whole thing already. Oh, and indeed, I made a typo. So the typo is a way of showing me that I'm running the correct piece of code now. Right, because now I actually shouldn't be able to click the articles yet. So now we're on the correct part. But yeah, you can see the list. You can flick it with a mouse or using a finger. So the part I basically spoiled right there when I accidentally ran the already finished project is the article content we still need to add. So we're going to add a new file again, Qt file and a QML file, Qt Quick 2. And we're calling it article content QML. And let's see what the slide tells us. Right, the slide basically is suggesting to make this new component a page, and it will probably make sense once you see how I'm going to use it. So for now, I'll just say, yeah, I'm going to define a page and not just an item in there. So we're going to import the robot components. It's always a good idea, by the way, to import the Ubuntu components in every file that's used by your app, even though it may just happen to work that you don't. Depending on what API you're using. but that fundamentally means you might enter race conditions. So better not rely on accidental imports or implicit dependencies. So yeah, we're going to add a label in there, and let's call it, or I think I called it main text in the slides. And then we're doing something very simple but nice. Calling this property content. So the property I'm defining here will be the publicly visible API used in other parts of the app to use the article content component I'm defining here. And we're going to make it an alias of the label below. And so basically the API will automatically be linked to the label text. So you can use the content property, and that will automatically be a string property that's setting as well as reading the text used in the label. And yeah, that's essentially everything we're doing for now, keeping it just very simple for the moment, and just so it's able to display some text. And yeah. So now the interesting thing is, as I mentioned, the component is a page. So we need to communicate with it, and we're going to use the fact that the article content is a page to create pages dynamically for the respective items being clicked. And the article list view, as I used the file from before, already has the click signal at the top, which otherwise you would have to be adding now. And that basically has a few arguments. So again, this is essentially public API that we're using in our own app. If this was actually a shared component that otherwise apps would be using, that click signal would be its effective public API. And it has the title, published, and content arguments in there, basically passing them to the user of the API. And so the user would basically be in the main file. Let's see. Have I already added this here? Indeed, there we go. I got cheated a little bit. So the on-click handler of the list item is one way of making it do something. Essentially, yeah, if you click or may as well tap on a touchscreen device, same thing at this point. And yeah, basically passing the aforementioned properties to the public API of the component, since a user of the component wouldn't have access to the delegate in the Ubuntu list view, which is basically a component created on the fly for each row of the XML model we're using here. And so basically at this point, we use the clicked signal, on-clicked, as clicked is the signal name of the article list view. And we're going to add a page to the layout. And so that's basically taking the first page, the feeds page, and the page we want to add either to the current or next column, depending on the form factor. So as this is a component and a separate file, we're going to specify the file name here, which is article content QML, and which will be loaded asynchronously when this function is called. And we're using a very nice feature you might know if you've used QML and maybe a page stack before, or if you used popover API in QML before, which is basically a way to set properties in an JSON style way in the add page to next column function argument. So the two we care about are basically the title and content properties. And we know that we get both of them from the API. So we should be fine just passing them to the page component, since page component, again, just to demonstrate what we're doing here. At the top, it has a content property, which is alias to the label text. And the page already has a title property and its public API to set the title shown at the top. So this essentially should just work. And let's find out if this is true. So we have on the list on the side, and we're clicking it, and there we go. You see the title and the right column at the top, and the text in the label. And what you can also see, since we'll just pretend we have a very small screen device right now, by making it smaller, you'll see there's a back button on the left, and the title next to that. And we can, of course, also go back to the list, and we can select something else and read it and do the resizing thing again, and it seamlessly goes back and forth. Right, let's see where we are in the slides. So yeah, now essentially have one more suggestion. But this is essentially going to be the bit where you, as the person looking at this tutorial, might just want to get your hands dirty, since I'm only going to show you the start of it. And yeah, here already essentially added the respective code for it. The list item is able to show actions on the left or right. Leading actions in this case is the API to show actions if you swipe in from the left. And as I will demonstrate, this will also automatically create a context menu. So if I'm running this again, and for instance, I swipe from the left side, you will see this nice red delete icon. And what you can also do, you can right click it if you have a mouse, and that also works if you connect the mouse to a phone or a tablet. You get a delete button automatically, and you can actually put 2 actions to the left and 2 actions to the right. And we can just add some more to demonstrate that. Let's see, what actions do we need otherwise? I'm not sure if I actually know the icon names properly offhand, but let's try. Let's just call it favorite. And let's put some more actions on the right side by calling it trailing actions. And incidentally, if you're wondering why it's actually called leading and trailing actions, as opposed to left actions and right actions. Keep in mind that layouts in general should, as much as possible, be automatically mirrored when using right-to-left languages. So this is one of the things that's reflected in an API, where the API tries to be smart, so you don't have to add lots of codes to support that. Well, let's just see if... no, it's complaining. It probably, yes, forgot some. You see, which I guess is a nice demonstration at this point, if you're not that familiar with QCreator yet. This is actually showing these nice little red dots if you're making mistakes in your source code. And as you can see, they went away after I added the commas between the actions. Well, let's see. If I swipe in from the left, all right, something is wrong. I only see one of them. I'm guessing the icon doesn't work. Let's see. Let's try something like add, perhaps. That works better. Yes, this actually works. So you can see the add action. And on the right, you also see the two of them. And again, right click, and you see all of these. And they do exactly the same thing. So you automatically get a context menu if you have a mouse. And yeah, so that's essentially what I'm demonstrating here. And I'm hoping this should be a nice introduction for you to get started on making an app. There's more tutorials on developer.ubuntu.com. And of course, there is awesome people on Google Plus or IRC or on the mailing list you might want to talk to and yeah, find out how all of this works. Maybe look into U1DB API and find out how to store a list of feeds, make it configurable. And maybe look into autopilot tests, which I just briefly mentioned in the beginning. That's a way to run the app differently, so you can run test cases. And there's an example in QCreator already out of the box. Let's see, where did the file go? Yeah, if you look at other files in QCreator, there should be, you should be able to run it from here. Well, I'm not sure if it work right now, since I didn't amend the test case to work with what we did here. Let's just see. There we go. There's our test case. Right. So yeah, this is not as such for now part of the introduction, but yeah, just to show you the basics. So when your app gets a bit larger, it can be very handy to be able to know that your app still works after you made some changes. So you essentially have reproducible steps that the computer is doing for you. So you don't have to wonder if you're doing the exact same things to reproduce if the app still works after your latest changes. And you know that something that will not change its ways, unlike a person doing these steps, will confirm that it does or doesn't work. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and yeah, there might be time for some questions on IRC if you have any. So far, I guess IRC is pretty quiet, which is either a very good thing or a very bad thing. So yeah, we we have a few more minutes left in any case. If there's no questions, there we go. Will this work across multiple platforms? Generally, yes. I don't think it's well, how do I phrase this? I don't think there's any big project at the moment really making sure this works and continuously releasing something based on Ubuntu components for different platforms. So in that sense, the biggest problem is actually using QCreator, for instance, the emulator and running things on another platform, because that somewhat depends on how the platform, for instance, yeah, there's no reason the QML wouldn't run on a Mac or Windows or maybe Unix or whatever operating system you prefer to use. But yeah, essentially, it's not ready to do. You might have to do some work to get it working. Another question: the slide you used will be available to download. Yes, I will as soon as I can find out how to upload it to the developer.ubuntu.com website and put it there, and put a link on the session once I manage to do that. Another question: what's max number of actions we can put on both sides? Right now, that's, I think, 2. I suspected it might. Well, that depends how things are going, since some of these things are obviously going to be tweaked as, you know, convergence is a bit of a work in progress, but it might become more on larger screens. It's mainly, I think, just practically speaking for a phone. You can't really put that much in there, otherwise you will not really have that space. So for now, I think you should just assume 2 on each side. Any more questions? I guess we're done. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll be around in IRC if you have more questions. And yeah, we'll see that I can provide the slides. Oh, there's another one. See, always good to wait one more minute than you think you should have. In the Qt Designer, the Ubuntu component is always marked red as in an error. Any fix for that? I will have to say, frankly, this is also somewhat driving me mad because it always looks as if nothing is working. When in fact, as you saw, it does very much work, and it does very much recognize everything, even the custom components I added there. I'm afraid I don't know any fix for that. I'm hoping for that myself because it just looks annoying. Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah. All you can do is enjoy the features as they work, even though they claim they don't. Another question, what's the status of RTL support in the SDK right now? It mostly works, I would say. I'm thinking I could. Let me see if I might have a way to demonstrate that. Give me a minute, and I might have them in the test app for the UI toolkit. Let's see if I can make this work. All right, so let me see if I can share my screen again, and then so there we go. So this is actually the AutoCAD Gallery, which is, if you don't know it, more or less a collection of the components that you can use, the different APIs from Ubuntu.com, such as text fields, buttons, colors that are predefined, option selector, basically all the components that are in there. And it actually recently gained a feature exactly because the question of RTL comes up occasionally, and we don't really have somebody who would normally use an RTL locale on the SDK team, but we tried to test it. And so, for instance, we have a nice button there that shows you that it almost looks good. Unfortunately, it does actually look like there's a little bug again, and the padding on the very left is missing. And I think I'm going to check after this if there's a bug, or otherwise find one, because this is not correct. But you can see the header, the column from the left actually switched to the right. And this is, by the way, also using adaptive page load, which is used in the tutorial code. And you can see the list here. I'm thinking actually the arrows, actually that's another bug, I suppose. The arrows probably should, out of the box, flip to the left side, and they don't yet. Which, yeah. Yeah, I guess it's good that you asked, because there's at least 2 bugs there, which I'm going to file very soon. Yeah, so this might answer the question. It more or less should work, but yeah, I fear it may not have the kind of testing that that left to right gets. Oh, and I see there might already be a fix for that. So that is perfect. Yeah, so I'm hoping this was not too bad of an impression. And yeah, I'll see that I might be able to have a look at that fix maybe after this session. And indeed, let's see if I can share the file. Let's see, how do I share it? Let's see. So the link I just pasted should give you access to the slides, if that works. It's always a bit tricky to be sure. I'm actually making it available for everyone. I do see some funny animals there, so that probably works. And a pumpkin even, that's a new one. Never seen a pumpkin in Google Docs before. Is that technically an animal? I guess they might just have redefined the meaning of an animal at this point. All right, 4 minutes to go, and then the session is officially over. If there's any more question, hurry up and post it. 3 minutes left. If there's any more questions, do ask now. All right, so that's it. Thank you very much.